Hello, I'm Jim from Outbound Distribution. Today we are going to do a video on making some perfect ribs. We're going to take a rack of side ribs. We're going to show you how to trim them, and we're going to show you a method to cook them that is all temperature based, not time. So you'll get the perfect bite every single time. So stay tuned. Let's get started. Okay, so here is our rack of ribs. Now, you'll notice the breast is still attached here. And it's not trimmed, so we're going to have to cut here, and we're going to have to cut it up here. Now, where do you find your marking spot to trim this? You can feel it. You can feel the tallest bones right here, but it's the fourth bone in, typically. So, we're just going to mark that. You can see it's right there. And take a knife. Now, the first time doing this, it's nice just to kind of make a little mark the whole way across. And the reason why I say to mark it first, if you don't, you'll end up cutting the rib at a little bit of a diagonal. Then this is going to end up being a lot narrower. And if this isn't even, it's going to cook at a different speed than the rest. So you're going to have some really either overcooked ribs on this side and perfect here, or vice versa. This way you'll see it's fairly even and consistent. So it is going to be an awesome rack of ribs. Now when you flip this guy over, this piece here, you'll see there's no bones in there. It's just cartilage. We're just going to get rid of that, square it off. And again, makes it nice and even and consistent. This little flap of meat here, we're just going to cut that off as well. Reason behind that is same thing. If it's thicker there, it cooks at a little different speed than the rest. So we want to make it as consistent as possible. So there, that's what it looks like when it's completely done. See if those off to the side. So now that we have that rack of ribs, it's looking really good. There's a membrane. Now this membrane, if you don't take that off, it's like a little piece of plastic on the back when it's fully cooked. So it won't hurt you. But what it does is you'll take a bite and it'll leave that little filming behind. So it just doesn't seem right. So the easiest way to get rid of that is just take a paper towel, grab an edge, and start working it off. Sometimes it's easier than others, but after you've done enough of them, it starts coming off pretty easy. Just get a bigger grab as you go, and just keep working it off. Okay, now that that membrane's off, we're going to season them. Now what we're going to season it today with is Fire and Smoke Society Pork Perfect. And the sauce we're going to use is going to be some House of Q apple butter. And we want to really liberally spread this out. This is the flavor. And this rub gives you a little sweet, it gives you a little heat. Make sure to catch those edges. You want to be very liberal with it. And again, getting those edges, getting the ends. You can put the ends through some of the spillover. And that's it. So there we have a perfectly seasoned rack of ribs. So we're going to go outside, we're going to light the PK grill up, and we're going to show you how to get an indirect fire going that is going to be perfect for slow cooking these ribs over the next 4 hours. Okay, so we're starting to fire up. So you'll notice that in this grill, there's only briquettes on the one side. Okay, there's a reason for that. What we're going to do, the ribs are going to go over here, and over here is our fire. So we're going to light this guy. And now, the reason why I'm not doing this in a chimney, simply put, is that I don't want to light the whole thing. I just want to light one corner. So as this cooks throughout the day, it's going to light more fuel and burn more efficiently and keep it consistent at 225 degrees without having and reloading the fuel every 20 minutes. This fire will last probably 3 hours of the rib cook, which is about an hour short of the whole thing. So we should only have to refill this about one time. So we're going to let that start up. We'll give it about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to start. Whenever you start getting some red coal underneath and ready to go, we'll close the lid, set the vents on the bottom and set the vents on the top for an indirect cook. So what that means is that this one's going to be open, that one's going to be closed, and then on the top, your right vent's going to be open and your left vent's going to be closed. But we can touch on that a little later. All right, so the PK is up to about 225. You'll see that the fire is going on this side. A lot of unlit charcoal still to act as fuel as this cook gets going. I've got a temperature probe into there to help me monitor it. Now I'm going to spread these out on here as far away from that fire as I can, not too close to the other end. Okay, so we're going to get 2 racks. Now push them together too. That just helps plump them up, giving you a thicker rib. So now you can see how that's going. I'm going to close the lid so I don't keep feeding air to that charcoal. But yeah, that's essentially how it goes. So now that air comes up, feeds that fire, and then the smoke and heat rolls across here and out that side, because that vent's open and this vent's open, and these two are closed. And that causes an indirect heat. And we're going to leave those puppies smoking until that hits an internal temperature of 160 degrees. And how I'm going to tell with that one is I'm going to probe one of those ribs in between the bones with the probe. Just like that. We're going to leave those on there till they hit an internal temperature of 160 degrees. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take them off and we're going to wrap them. Now, why we're doing that is as soon as they hit 160 degrees, they start shedding moisture. The meat starts letting go of moisture. That foil is going to pick it up, and it's actually going to start braising those ribs in its own juices. We're going to add some other liquid to it as well to make sure that it retains that moist, juicy rib that we're looking for. But for now, it's going to take approximately 2.5 hours for it to get to 160 degrees. We'll update when you get to that point. Okay, so they're purring along. They're at about 128 degrees right now, so we're not going to wrap them until they hit 160. But you'll notice they were starting to look a little dry, so we're just going to spray them down with a little apple juice just to make sure that they're nice and juicy. But if you look down here, you can see there's still a lot of fuel left to burn, so it's working quite well. Okay, the ribs have hit 160 degrees, so the next step is to wrap them. I've brought them inside already, and I'm just going to show you the steps that we do right now. I start with a spray butter. Now, you can use margarine if you want. This just doesn't affect the bark as much, and that's what I like. If you like a little tang or a little zip, a couple splashes of Louisiana hot sauce or anything of your liking. We want to sweeten this up, so I warmed up some honey. We're also going to hit it with brown sugar. No one said they're diet food. Okay, now this is the important part. You got to double wrap them, and you got to wrap it relatively neat. And the reason why is we still have to pour some apple juice in here to help braise that. It's going to release some of its own moisture, but you need to put more in there for this part of the process. Double up your foil so the bones don't poke through. And you have to be careful if the bones are down. If you want to take it one step farther, you can actually leave the face side down so the bones won't poke through. And we're putting about 250 milliliters of apple juice in there. And that's it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to throw these back on the grill until they hit an internal temperature of 204. And then that'll be the next step, and that's where we'll go to next. Okay, so the ribs are at 204 degrees, so they are ready to come in. So we'll pull the probes. I've done this a few times. My fingers are getting a little tougher than the average Joe's. So what we're going to do now, take a bowl and pour the sauce out. With these ribs, it's now time to sauce them. I won't do them both, just to keep time, our friend. What we're going to be using on these House of Q apple butter. Just give it a liberal smear. Get your brush out. Do both sides. And now after this is done, we're going to close the lid and we're going to let this sit for another 10 minutes or so. Very important though that you don't leave it on there for too long for that sauce to set, because you don't want those ribs to go back over 204 degrees or they're going to get a little overcooked. So I'm using a cold barbecue sauce. That's going to bring the temperature of the ribs down. And when you do that, it takes a while to come back up. But just be careful. If you're going to leave them on for a long time to let that sauce set, don't let them get above 204. But yeah, that's it. And the next time I come on, we'll be cutting them. Okay, so now these ribs have been sauced. The sauce is set for about 10-15 minutes. They never did get back over 204 degrees. So just to go over the steps again, we put those on the grill till they hit 160 degrees, pulled them off, wrapped them, put some butter, brown sugar, we put a little honey on there, we put a little hot sauce in there with some apple juice. We braised them till they got to 204, then we took them out, put a cold House of Q barbecue sauce on top, the apple butter, and let it set. Now, letting that sauce set is a really important step and also helps with flavors of the caramelization. So now when I cut these open, you'll see a super juicy rib. Now, it doesn't strip right off the bone, but if you take a bite, right, it comes clean. And that is what a good rib is. So, hopefully this helps you and gives you some insight on how to make a perfect rib. Have a good day.